All right, let's dive into a fascinating story. It's about an AI assistant that went completely off the rails and how a small team managed to fix it in just a few hours.
So, imagine you've built a support chatbot for a brand new game. You need it to be helpful. You need it to be accurate, right? But what do you do when, instead of helping, your AI just confidently starts making things up? Well, that was the exact problem a team of developers ran into.
A player asks a really simple question about the game. What are house cards? And this is the answer the AI gave. It sounds so sure of itself, so definite, and it is 100% wrong.
And we're not talking about a tiny little mistake here. This is a massive error. The AI didn't just misunderstand a minor detail, it got the most fundamental, core concept of the entire game completely backward. This thing was basically delusional. And here's the thing, this wasn't just a one-off error. The AI was failing a lot. But this is a comeback story. We're going to break down exactly how this team took a totally broken system and, with a few really smart fixes, turned it into one of the most accurate AI assistants you could imagine. So first things first, let's get a real sense of just how bad the problem was at the start.
The initial performance was, to be blunt, a total disaster. A full 60% of its answers were hallucinations. Now, in the AI world, that's just a fancy way of saying it was literally making things up. It was wrong more often than it was right. Just unusable.
So the team dug in and found four main culprits. First, the AI model was over-quantitized, which basically means its brain was too compressed. Think of it like a super low-quality MP3 file. You've crushed it down so much to save space that all the important details are just gone. It couldn't follow instructions properly. On top of that, its instructions were vague, its knowledge base had big holes in it, and maybe worst of all, there was no safety net, no way for the system to double-check its own work. Okay, so they knew what was wrong. Now, how did they fix it? Well, they rolled out a simple but brilliant three-phase plan. Let's see how they did it. Now, the key technology that makes this whole thing work is called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. The absolute best way to understand RAG is to think of it as giving the AI an open book exam. Instead of trying to answer from memory, it is forced to look up the correct facts from a trusted source before it says a single word. This just dramatically cuts down its ability to lie. And you know what's really wild? This whole turnaround was incredibly fast. The entire optimization, from start to finish, took just 3.5 hours. It was broken down into 3 quick, focused phases. The very first fix, and this took only 30 minutes, was just to give the AI better instructions. They got really strict with it, telling it things like, you must only use the information we give you, and they finally built that safety net, a system to validate the answers. The result? Just from that one change, accuracy shot up from 40 to 65%, and hallucinations were cut in half. Pretty amazing. Next, it was time for a brain transplant. Remember that overcompressed model? They swapped it out for a smaller, but much more capable Llama 3 model. And this is a really key insight. A right-sized model that hasn't been degraded can actually work way better than a bigger one. And that single change, it pushed accuracy all the way up to 90%. The last phase was all about creating the perfect textbook for that open book exam. They went right to the source of truth, the game's actual production user interface, and pulled all of the info from there. By making sure its knowledge was 100% complete and accurate, they got the final system to an incredible 98% accuracy. So, what does that journey actually look like when you put it all together? Well, the results are pretty stunning. All in all, the team saw a 2.5 times improvement in accuracy. They literally turned a useless liability into a powerhouse of reliable information. You can see the whole methodical journey right here. Accuracy just climbs and climbs, from a dismal 40% all the way to 98%. And hallucinations, they just plummet from a crazy 60% to less than 5%. I mean, it's a total night and day difference. But it didn't just get smarter, it got faster. By optimizing the whole process, the average time it took to get an answer was cut by a factor of 3. We're talking from around 40 seconds down to just 15. So now, you're not just getting accurate answers, you're getting them instantly. And here's the final product, live in the wild. A seamless, helpful assistant right there inside the game, ready to answer questions accurately and immediately. It's something that actually enhances the game instead of ruining the experience. And what's the secret sauce powering this 98% accurate system? It's almost shockingly simple. It's a single text file. That's it. That is the AI's entire textbook, its single source of truth, making sure every single answer is grounded in reality.
So the AI is fixed. It's working great. But how does it really stack up against other support options out there in the real world?
Well, if you compare it to a generic, off-the-shelf AI model, it's not even a fair fight. The RAG-powered system is way more accurate, it barely ever hallucinates, and because its knowledge is tied to that simple text file, it is always up to date.
And what about comparing it to traditional human support? The difference here is even more stark. The AI is available 24/7, it gives answers in 15 seconds instead of 10 minutes, and the cost? It's literally fractions of a penny for each question. So, what are the big takeaways from all this? First, RAG technology is a total game changer for getting reliable answers. Second, a focused, systematic optimization plan can give you huge results fast. Third, your AI is only as good as its textbook, so that source of truth is everything. Fourth, you absolutely must have a validation safety net. And finally, bigger isn't always better when it comes to AI models. And all of this leaves us with one last big question. If a focused effort of just a few hours can turn a lying AI into a trusted expert, then what's stopping every company out there from demanding this same level of truth from their technology? It really makes you think, doesn't it?